Lenten Lunchtime Lesson by Father Andrew, the Society of the Divine Compassion. Friday after the fourth Sunday in Lent. Atmosphere. When the 10 heard it, they were moved with indignation concerning the two brethren, but Jesus called them unto him. Matthew 20, 24 and 25. There are very real mysterious atmospheric effects in nature. We may know what it is to be walking along and presently to have unpleasant consciousness of an evil odor. Perhaps we discover that we are walking near to some stagnant pond in which is the body of a dead animal, and from this comes the poisonous miasma. If we ask ourselves how this miasma of decay first came into being, it surely has something to do with the primal opposition of rebellious minds to the will of God in the spiritual world. It did not produce itself. It must have been produced by mind in some way. But though there may be a bad or relaxing atmosphere in nature, there is also a pure and healing atmosphere. We know what it is to go away with the seaside or the mountains and get all the exhilaration and healing strength of a bracing wind. The same is true spiritually. Spiritual atmosphere is very real. There may be depressing fear, contaminating impurity, hurtful contempt, overpowering pride. When the two apostles, James and John, and their adoring mother came to the divine master asking for high places in the kingdom, it occasioned an atmosphere of murmuring and antagonism as soon as it reached the ears of the other 10. And the whole harmony of the group was disturbed. In the first days, when Andrew and Peter, James and John came to our Lord, there was no discordant thought amongst them. But how soon, as Judas doubted the master's ways and others sought things for themselves, suspicion and questioning fear began to taint the first happy atmosphere of the discipleship. Just as there is a natural atmosphere which is depressing, poisonous, and relaxing, and one which is healthy and bracing, so there's a spiritual atmosphere which is depressing, evil, paralyzing, and, thank God, one that brings peace, strength, and confidence. Always in the history of the world, and never more than now, a great deal depends upon atmosphere. Paul can make an atmosphere. People can make an atmosphere. Places can make an atmosphere. How we feel it when we reach this sentence in St. John's Gospel, Judas went out and it was night. There was a change in the atmosphere at once. The removal of the presence of a traitor takes away a strain, even at that sad time. The Master begins to speak of peace, and we feel the holiness of the upper room. People do bring an atmosphere with them, and whether at this time it holds calm, healing, and peace, or fear, suspicion, and restlessness, depends very largely on ourselves. It is surely the duty, and within the power of the Church of God, to be affecting the atmosphere in healing ways. When there is this murmuring and discontent among the apostles, what happened? Jesus called them to himself. He brought them into his own atmosphere. He taught them the true values of life. He said to them, among the Gentiles, people seek places of importance. That is the way of the world. But you are not going to be like that. The greatest among you is he that is serving most. When we can completely forget ourselves and think only how we can best serve other people, we pass from the evil atmosphere of selfishness to the peace and creative power of sacrifice. Jesus still calls us to himself. There is no place in all the world where there is so powerful an atmosphere as a church in which the Holy Sacrament is reserved and in which the people really pray. When we come into such a church and yield ourselves to that spell, the values of the time pass from us, and the great values of eternity, holiness, peace, love, take possession of us. And the spiritual atmosphere flooding into our souls brings to us healing. As we really yield ourselves to the divine presence, there will come into our souls the healing of his peace, the quieting of our fears, the strengthening of our spiritual power, and the rapture of his love.